trust that, and you'll accept this fragrant point of view. You see, a person's life is written in the words that he paid for. You know that costs something that's to do. Forget all you see and hear in the so-called public town. Embrace this life and how you live and what you do. Yeah, treat everybody with the peace you have inside. Do unto others like the good book says to do. Now I had to find several reasons to trust this. So many times I've heard the same line through and through. You see, you walk down the road many times so blindly. Only thing that matters is the path you choose. A simple man would have gotten busted. The righteous man would have been accused. Looking down this road forever after. We all got something to lose. Sit back and deal me a hand now, Mr. Lucky. A straight of flush or a pair of twos. It really don't matter what I get dealt for this hand, this time. It doesn't really matter if I win or if I lose. Save your opinions for some other time. Didn't really write this song to amuse. Thinking about your life and what you really after. Don't hide yourself behind another excuse. A rich man would have got just what he paid for. The poor would sing a song or two. Looking down this road forever after. We all got something to lose. Final words of the story. Again, I didn't write the song to amuse. Think about your life and what you live for. We all got something to lose.
Okay, good evening, Patriots. That's Something to Lose by our good friend Steve Harvey. Coming to you here Friday night. We've got a special guest. She's been here before. She's the rock star of Red State Talk Radio. Let's bring in Tori. Tori, how you doing tonight?
Hey, good evening. I'm doing pretty well. We had some really good developments today in the evening. So that's that. And the weather seems kind of stormy now. So it's bedtime weather. So that sounds good.
It's been a hot week this week for me anyway. I don't know for you, but we've been in the 90s almost every day this week, so I'll be glad to get a little bit of relief if we can this weekend.
Same, same. This weekend I'm going to be going over to Millie's to finish up some recording that we're doing.
Oh, okay. So anything special coming out soon?
Sombrero. That's our safe word, right?
Okay, that's one. All right. Okay, I know you want to talk a little bit about Mr. Stone, so you've got the floor. Go for it.
What's there to say? He did nothing wrong and the commutation went through and that's what's good. I mean, there's nothing more to say on that than that's pretty awesome. We expected that. A lot of people I saw on Twitter, oh, he should have just, pardoned him. And it's like, nah, man. How do we get to the bottom of the magic wheel? How do we get to the bottom of fixing, the juries if he doesn't have a thing to appeal it? So there's
Right.
investigations. I mean, that's the only thing. And I had him on my show and I interviewed him and I told him, you're not going to see one day behind bars, right? He was like, well, I hope so. And I was like, yeah, if you're going to get commutation, you're going to be able to do this, that. Oh, yeah, I hope so. It's like, man. And, it's not me gloating. It's everybody loves proofs and deltas. Well, hey,
Yeah. Yeah. So now this gives him the opportunity to go back and appeal this, right?
correct.
And the jury, the foreman, that's the forewoman, I should say, she was the problem, correct?
No, all of them were.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, all of them were tainted. Basically, when I had Matt Whitaker on my show, I kind of said, hey, this is a very big problem. Such a tainted jury. It's because they're using the shadow net, a version of it that is, software that General Hayden and Jones have created for the courts, and this taints the jury completely. So, you know, uh, I mean, you can't have a fair jury because they put in, okay, everybody's name, they search social media, bank records, the whole nine yards, profile every single person. This is what the algorithm does, and then spits out how likely they are to give you the verdict you want, which is guilty. And that's why it was so overly tainted because it was such a weak, weak sauce case. Like there was nothing,
Yep.
nothing. They had to find people that were completely biased, and that's what they did. And so, I've been working extra hard for Roger, getting all this stuff out there, sending things like, I know they know it's from me, but it's better. It's like, nah, no name, just send it. um, because I've been burnt before putting my name on it where they knock and they're like, do you have anything else? And it's like, okay, that was not an invitation to come over. I don't want to have this conversation. So, this is where you just send stuff because when you do it with your face, your name, or in other cases, your own car, they find you, and it's not always very nice, especially if the people that find you
Yeah.
are not on the right team.
Yeah.
By the way, I
Yep.
sent you an email. I thought I'd show you a little tidbit from Time. Just thought I'd let you know.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's interesting on the jury because I know that the defense, well, each side has X amount of strikes where they can just strike them for no reason. So they must really load these people up. Or did Stone's team, were they legitimate, unlike General Flynn's first legal team?
So, oh, you mean the voix, right? Where they sit and they pick. Yeah, but if the whole pool that you have to pick from has been hand selected from the millions that were eligible as most likely to give you the verdict you want, I don't care how good you are at picking them. You're just gonna pick the one that's gonna be more painful to go.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the thing of it is if you run out of strikes and they still have it's still packed with these kind of people, then it's not gonna matter. But
No, all of
I
them,
just
all
wondered.
of them, all of the people that you're picking from are already biased. All
Okay.
of them. Okay, all of them. Oh, nobody can hear on my end. That's me. Okay, I just saw that. Let
You wanna
me.
fi you wanna fix that? Give you a second.
Um, I'm. You know how many windows I have open right now? I think I.
20?
Yeah, actually, I have more than that. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Oh, they can only hear me, not you. Interesting. It's so
Guest.
bizarre.
Wow.
Huh. Loser software.
Oh,
Loser software. Let's see. Mm, yeah, it's a loser software. That's okay. Guys, I'm so sorry. This is one sided. It's not working. It's like I'm talking to myself. StreamYard? Yep. Hmm. Yeah, guys, I could see it. Oh my gosh, how insane does this like stream seem that I have people listening to me talking to myself? That's so interesting. Let me see if I can invite you to jimmy up on another page. Can you do that, Paladin?
sure.
Because I want my listeners to hear you too. Hold on.
Okay.
And I pasted my link. So you just click on it and enter, I guess, right? Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just so not being my friend today. It's like they don't want us to talk. What is going on here?
Yeah. What a surprise.
It happens to me all the time, you know. I mean, I really feel bad for Red State Talk Radio ever since I started. You know, they've been giving us a lot of issues with our
Issues.
streams, and it's like, all right, are we done yet? What is going on here? Why is this not wanting to send you anything? Let me just DM it to you on Twitter. How's that? That'll be
Um,
easier. You could copy the link from there, I guess.
okay.
Hold on,
See
let me
what we
find
can
you.
do.
Trying to find you on Twitter.
Oh, I'm not on Twitter.
Wait, WHMG.
Yeah, that's not me.
All right, let's do it. There we go. That's a good idea. There we go. Boom. Thank you, someone. I kid you not. Like, if you could see my screen right now, you'd be like, how do you find anything? I have Signal, Telegram, 50 pages open, live feeds in the corner and it's like I'm an autist from like the future in one of those weird movies. Okay. I guess you just click on it and enter, right? Oh, there you are. Okay. Now can you speak? Can they hear you?
I
Just
hope so.
okay, can everybody hear him? Just give me a yay nay. Yay nay, yay nay. I wonder. I guess maybe. Okay, let's keep going and they'll tell me if they can't hear you. I
Okay.
I see laughing faces, so I'm gonna post those on mine. Okay, so did you see the other email? Yes, they can hear you. Did you see the email that I sent you?
Um,
Man, you were supposed to see it because it's something that not a lot of people have. I'll give you a hint, okay? Because I thought I could do this as a surprise for you. It is from 1919.
I see it.
You see it?
Yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
wow.
It's an original.
I was gonna say, yeah, I opened the first one and I was gonna say that looks like something from Mr. Tesla.
Yes, it is an
Yeah.
original. I'm
Very
not gonna
good.
say how I have it, but he talks about all his inventions in there, every single piece.
Okay. So do you want to talk about that?
No, I want to talk about what you want to talk about. I thought I'd give it to you so we can talk about it either off air because that's a sombrero topic for now.
Okay. All right. So are we done with Roger Stone? Because I do want to segue into some other court cases.
Well, okay. So, what is there left to say about Roger Stone? He's going to actually deliver us freedom in the courts in DC because even Matt Whitaker said you can't get an honest court, right? And
Right.
Roger Stone is not done yet. He's going to fix that for us. And there's a lot of us in the background working hard, providing leads, documentation, names at the clerk's office, stuff like that.
Okay.
We'll see that. What cases are you referring to? The
Well,
juries of Brennan, is that it?
did you? Well, yeah, we want to get to your favorite guy, but I want to talk about Flynn. Did you hear what Sullivan did?
Of course I did. Did you
Okay.
expect me to do anything less? I mean, kamikaze or what, right, Paladin?
Well, do you think this is just he's trying to kick the can down the road and stall as much as he can because he's afraid about what Flynn's gonna do when he's finally totally exonerated?
Well, because it's going to be a little bit of a problem when the bylaws say to be director of this and director of that, that you have this kind of record. So they're doing everything in their power to make sure that they get him, right?
Yeah.
And he's willing to burn his bench for that, which is
Well, they're desperate. They're desperate. Come
yeah,
on.
like I said, a lot of people are like nothing's being done. It's like, would they be this desperate if nothing was going on? Come
Right.
on, let's be real.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to get your take on that because that's what I think too. I mean, we're seeing desperation, and I know people sometimes don't take that for the good news that it is. We just have to hang on. We've got some things we got to work through, but I think that's for them to show themselves. I mean, it is unbelievable that they are showing themselves all over the place.
Well, it's not that they're showing themselves, it's that light has now been brought there and they can't take it off. And it's not done through the media, it's done from us because, we the people are the news. So that's the way it goes.
All right. So let's move on to I've got this in quotes, and I don't know if this is what Durham said, but this is what they were reporting today that Durham may not come out with anything, may not reveal his findings. Since when does a prosecutor or AG reveal findings? He doesn't reveal findings. He either files a case, there's either a case filed or there isn't one. It's not like he's going to pull a James Comey and say, well, we looked at this and we just didn't really have enough information to file
Y-
an indictment. I mean,
It's
com-
so stupid. It's so stupid.
yes.
It's like, come on. Comey is the FBI director. He's going to comment, right? I,
Hmm.
Durham's a prosecutor. There's no comment. There's indictment, no indictment. Indictment, no indictment. And
Exactly.
I'll tell you what, the grand juries have been up, 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 but we got to get it tight, 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 tight.
So
Because it's so, out there.
So what are they trying to spin here by saying he may not reveal his findings until after the election? What kind of BS is that?
Findings. There's no
That's
who
right.
said that? Who said that?
Well, I saw it on Fox, and this
Okay,
is like,
that tells
okay,
you
the
everything you need to
AG, the IG will reveal their findings, but a prosecutor is not going to reveal his findings. He's going to either prosecute or he's not.
Exactly. That's the point. And I don't think people get that though. It's like, okay, you said you found it on Fox. That tells you everything you need to know. Murdoch, Fox, fake news. All of them.
They're all fake news, right?
Yeah, no,
Okay,
no. I mean, common sense. Prosecutors don't put out reports. Period.
right,
They
exactly.
unseal indictments. Right now, I can tell you I can. How's this? I'll just say it's a Stargate thing. Okay. Two indictments have already come down. They haven't been unsealed yet, only because they're waiting for the third. So this is what we're waiting for, and it's gonna come, and it's gonna come super good.
Are we looking at, is this involved July 21st?
Well, after July 20th, the ball is going to start to roll. Okay. That's
Okay.
when we have a few wins, because right now, like I said last week, Roger Stone was annihilated from social media. I said, oh man, look at them. They just took him off so he can't gloat that he's not going to jail. And right on time, because President Trump at the rally, he was gonna totally announce it there. And by the way, I'm commuting Roger Stone's sentence, but unfortunately, the rally was canceled, so he did it today. And he called him up and he said, "Yo, buddy, what's up? This is happening because
Hmm.
this is wrong. Newsom just let out hundreds and thousands of criminals out in California for chaos and boom, boom, boom." So,
Right.
you know, they didn't want him gloating. It's not like he was going to go to jail. I mean, the president of the United States is the president of the United States. And end of story. This guy did nothing wrong, and you wanted to give him a crazy sentence, and then you're like, "Oh, we're just going to give him 40 months for not telling us what we want to know on the fake Russia collusion. So tell us how you beat your wife, but I didn't beat my wife. Yep, there you
Right.
go. And it's like, all right then. So it's pretty incredible what they're doing, and I've been saying it all along, right? Judicial branch is the one that's the problem.
Right. Okay. And that's our good segue. Are there any, well, first of all, and I know you're aware of this, but when we first started doing our reports back in November of 2010, somewhere, well, we had, as we put out our reports and the information that we put out, we had people come to us from time to time that wanted to use us as a vehicle to get information out, which we did a couple places. We had someone come to us in 2011 and said they had some stuff on Roberts. And so they said, "Do you want to put it out?" And we said, "Sure." "And what is it?" "Well, we'll tell you at some point in time." And time went on and they missed a meeting and they wouldn't return calls or emails. And so I finally said, "Send somebody over to door knock to
Are
find
they
out."
dead?
What's that?
Are they dead? Are they dead?
Well, not that I know of, but the answer is that HRC swooped in and paid for the information that they were going to give us. So I can only speculate, but recently there have been screenshots of Epstein's flight log with a name on there. That was John Roberts. So I wonder if that was it. So I know that you have mentioned something about Roberts's involvement, and I've heard the same thing in the January 2017 meetings in the White House before Trump took office.
Yeah, and every time I say it, there's always someone saying, "Well, he was there to give legal advice." For what? Something criminal? Are you kidding? Like, then why not go on the record if it was legit? Like they're covering up his name all the time. And Tom, let's put it this way: Judicial Watch has the majority of the emails that actually discuss his presence but don't say his name. So that's a big problem. If the president of the United States can just get on the phone and be like, "Hey, Chief Justice, come here and give us legal advice. Will this fly or not? Can we delay the inauguration, or can we cancel the vote and have me sit until we figure out this Russia thing?" That was the question. They did it twice. Okay,
Okay.
and they did this with illegally obtained materials, from the 702 section 702 upstream collections, right? So that's what they were using to reinforce. So they were getting tidbits from people around the president talking about things and then trying to embellish it to make it look like something. That's basically what they did. And, Nellie Orr herself even said, the dossier came from Ukraine. It was sent to her from Ukraine. And she should know because she worked that desk. She was physically in Ukraine. Okay. In the spring of 2016. Okay. And then the dossier came to her from Ukraine. Ukraine is the center of everything. It's like
Okay. Yeah. And speaking of Ukraine, Vindman resigned this week, right? Retired, resigned, whatever it was, right?
he's such a loser. Like,
Yeah.
there are people, and there was actually one of them on Twitter, and I was like, yeah, I've seen him in action when he was like giving briefings in Germany, and he like talked smack about his own country. There was some other guy that actually had to sit in with him, and he was like, yeah, I guess he was Russia block, right? And he was like, he would talk down about Americans are so dumb, they don't have class, they don't have culture, and it's like, dude, why are you serving our country then? Like, like walk away. Like, why would you do that? So, are you dying? Do you have coronavirus?
That's what I say the same thing to the Democrats. It's like, if you don't like this country so bad, just go, get out of here. Right?
Well, all of them should go. All
Yeah.
of them. And that's the bottom line. You either love the country or you don't. Like, a lot of us here, America is filled with really good people. You know, yes, we lack the culture that other nations have because we're such a young country, right?
Right.
But, you know, at the end of the day, we're really good people. and we love people, we get along with each other, and that's, that's the beauty of America, that we don't have thousands of years of history together, that we don't have, Spartan wars and, all these plagues and SARS and Egyptian pharaohs and, you know,
Pyramids,
yeah,
yeah.
all this stuff. We're not connected like that. And so, like, at the end of the day, it's kind of like, all right, we still stay united, and it's under that one flag. And that's why I get really, really upset, because that is really the only thing that unites us, is what that flag stands for. So it really makes me upset when I see people maiming the flag, kneeling to the flag, burning the flag. It's kind of like, all right, then, why are you here?
Hmm.
A lot of Obama even said that he's moving to Canada, and it's like, you're not moving anywhere but Cuba. But okay, okay, we'll see.
One
If he's not in Qatar already.
one-way ticket to Cuba. Yeah.
Well, that's if he's not in Qatar already. So, but John Roberts, like you were saying, there's a lot of it on him. When people were trying to get the records of Barack Hussein Obama, he was the district judge that stymied it, right, with
Yeah.
his signature. He also let the right hand man for one of the guys that supposedly for the bodyguard of Osama bin Laden, and he pardoned him. That's what Justice John Roberts is. He was rewarded with, Chief Justice being put on the Supreme Court. He also has like this sketchy thing with some I'm hearing some weird adoptions. I'm going to leave it at that, because I don't have access to that. I do have access. Well, I did have access. I did have access, and I have a very good memory of passport data and travel data. Uh,
Uh-huh.
it's very interesting. So that actually coincides with a visit to the United Kingdom.
Knights of Malta.
United Kingdom. Malta is another thing.
Okay.
That's another thing. That's a sombrero thing for now.
Okay. That gets us to I'm gonna keep track of this. The more sombreros we get, that's kinda like the five-star thing. Okay, now, recently, there's been information come out that Robert spent time in the hospital, and he's come out with a stitch across his eye. Is he part of the Black Eye Club?
Well, the stitches above the eye are another thing. I mean, where's Bernie?
Did somebody hit him? Did some did somebody swing on him?
Well, Bernie had gotten the stitches. Have you seen him lately? I mean,
No, no.
his Slack and his group is pretty busy, right? But
Mhm.
I'm just saying, this stitch above the eye is very specific. Now, for me, doesn't matter. I mean, um, checking, the version and all that stuff, I get it. But the thing about Roberts is if he fell and went into the hospital, I mean, wouldn't they tell the president of the United States?
You would think so, yeah. He would be
Yeah,
the
that's the
first
thing.
call. Yep.
That's the thing. So it's kind of like, did the president know? Because that's my concern. Did they let the president know that Chief Justice Roberts was in the hospital? That's all I care about. What happened to him? I know where he's going, so that's fine. They're all going to be out. By the time our president is done, every single judge on the Supreme Court will have been replaced except for one. So, I know where he's going. The point here is, you know, did they advise the president? Did they tell the chain of command that we have this issue?
Mhm. Okay. Now, we had some decisions that came down this week. Well, I guess the past 2, maybe 3 weeks by the Supreme Court. Do you wanna comment on any of those decisions that were made?
I don't know. You ask me.
Well, there was one, let's see, there were well, the 2 regarding Trump's, tax returns.
Yeah, that was really dumb. I mean, they were really going for something so they can like, wow, look at this, look at that. But I also find it dangerous that prosecutors now, criminal prosecutors that could have vendettas, and remember, we have over 700 of them out there that hate Trump because 700 of them were aiding Sullivan. Okay. 700 unapologetic losers that were appointed during the Holder, regime, right? We're
Hmm.
all trying to get, Stone, trying to get Flynn, right? So, this is murky waters, but at the end of the day, nothing's going to come out of it. If anything, they're hoping for a hallelujah. They can hold on to the house or do something and maybe use it and say, oh, this, because with the IRS, everybody and their mother has problems, especially with so many businesses with the IRS at some point in time. Okay. Let's be legit because these people are just raping your pocket and we're willingly doing it too. And we have to do it or else they won't let us operate. So, whatever it is, I really don't care. I honestly, what are you going to tell me that he purchased property where in Macau? Where in the Maldives? Where in Russia? In France? In Germany? In Scotland? I really don't care. What I care about is what he's doing right now with my nation and how good he's been handling everything with his hands and feet tied. That's all I care about. That's really all I care about.
Well, and wasn't this all done during the Russian collusion thing? So they were trying to intimate that he was involved with Russia or he invested in Russia, yada, yada, yada. In addition to some of the stuff that Cohen said, because we know Cohen's a liar anyway, because he had what, two or three convictions for lying. And the interesting, being an accountant, it's interesting to listen to this because on the one hand, they'll say, well, he overinflated his income to make him look like a rich guy. And then on the other hand, they say something about he's underreported his income, so he won't have to pay taxes. Well, which is it, people? I mean, it's like no matter what he does, they're gonna try to jam him on it. But I just find it interesting as an accountant listening to him talk about it.
Well, I all I could say on this is number one, did you see how Cohen went back to jail today? You know,
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
listen, he went out to dinner and everything, but then they came to him saying, hey, you can't talk to the media, you can't do this, or else you're gonna have to go to jail. And he's like, well, I can't agree. That's my, right or whatever. And it's like, all right, then you're going to jail. And he's like, no, I cannot speak. And it's like, dude, you're supposed to be under house arrest. Like,
right.
if you're in prison, you're not gonna sit there and meet up with journalists and stuff. What do you mean it's violating your First Amendment? In jail, you have zero amendments. You can have free speech facing the wall, and that's about it. Like, take it or leave it. And he was, his lawyer tried to be like, oh, she totally buried him. And they sent him away, even though he was like, oh, I'm willing to agree to it now. And it's like, yeah, sorry.
Too
Uh,
late.
yeah, you were out eating dinner. Stop. So he's actually where Ghislaine Maxwell is. That concerns me. In the sense that why would they have him there now with her? And nobody thought about it or said anything about. Do you see what I'm saying? So
Well,
that's a question.
they should be separated. Males and females should be separated. So in a jail,
Yeah,
that's the way
what
it's
do you
supposed to
feel
be.
about the Brooklyn Jail Center?
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
that's the way it's supposed to be.
yeah, they supposedly have them in isolation now. We'll see.
Yeah, and did you? Okay, so let's segue into the because I've got Maxwell and Epstein on the list, so let's just segue into that right now. Um, did you hear about her the court appearance today?
Tell me about it. What did you hear?
Well, what she said, I mean, it sounds like she's going to fight these. She wanted to put up a $5 million bond. She denies all the charges. And of course, we've been seeing all week, indications that, oh, she's got all these tapes and she's got all this information and she can hammer all these people and yada, yada, yada. And she comes out today and seems like she's ready to lay down the gauntlet and fight everything. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, I see no way that they're going to let her out. I mean, she is the definition of a flight risk. She's got a UK passport, a French passport, an US passport. She's got
Saudi.
millions she's got millions in the bank account. She's got connections all over the world. I just don't see any chance they're going to let her out. So the question is she going to make it? Can they keep her alive?
Okay, so first of all, was that her, right? Second of all, do you really think she was sitting in New Hampshire and we didn't have our hands on her? Do you really think she was just sitting there all nicely put together reading a book when they
No,
came? Okay,
no.
because when they went for Roger Stone, who did absolutely nothing, there were frogmen, snipers, and CNN was across the street in a lawn chair. So there's no way now, I'm telling you now, that nobody knew where she was. I was almost gonna let the cat out of the bag when people were like, "Oh, this is where Lady Ghislaine, which is now called the Hare, right? Another rabbit followed
Hmm.
rabbit. That parked up in New Zealand, then parked up further down. So it was quite interesting. But we've already got most of what we need, and you know how you know that by the people. So, for example, right? Earlier this year. Who was the first one that went? Andrew Burkle. He's the billionaire Ronald Burkle's son. He was found dead in LA, right?
Hmm.
And they're still like investigating. Oh, what happened? Yeah. Then we had Steve Bing just a couple days before they announced, they got her jumping off the 27th floor because this guy doesn't have all the money in the world to fight any charges. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is where it goes down to. So that's how you see it.
Okay. Because it's interesting that it looks to everyone that she is trying to be, she's trying to blend in with the scenery, right? Because she creates an anonymous LLC. She pays cash, but I'm just wondering who she's hiding out from. That's what I wondered. Because it,
Well, this is a what is it? Da-da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. What's that? That's all, folks. This is like one of the greatest shows on earth you're watching. We have
yeah,
to orchestrate every move. This tango has to be perfect. Perfect. And besides, Ghislaine is more important than Epstein. She was his handler.
yep,
Okay. He
yep.
was his handler. Her daddy and Bronfman, his daughter got busted for it, right? She was the one that opened up the can of worms for everything and got a lot of people that we don't know in mainstream done up. But you know what Ghislaine did? Huh. Ellen DeGeneres canceled. Kimmel canceled. The View canceled.
Canceled. Yep.
Oh, and more is coming. So this is where indictments for the others have popped and no one's, put it out, right? No one's said anything yet because, they're probably still sealed because they're battling them or whatever. And they're really hoping they're going to get their hands on Ghislaine. So why not throw them some bait and say, look, she's right here. Look at that. Cohen's going there too. I'm just saying.
Okay. Now, interesting. I don't know if you read the indictment, but they mention New Mexico, they mention Florida, they mention London, they mention New York, but they don't mention the island.
You mean the Pedo Island? They didn't mention it?
Nope. No,
Huh.
the incidents, there's three victims that are mentioned in the indictment for Maxwell, three victim one, two, and three. They mention incidents that took place in 94 through 97. There were four counts there, enticing and then transportation. And then there were two counts of perjury, and the perjury counts related to, I believe, the civil court stuff they had going on in 2016. So, one of the victims was actually in New York and Florida. Another victim was New Mexico, and the third victim was London. And so I found it very odd that they left out Lolita Island in that whole situation.
What's even more odd is Framer, like she was in New York and then Ohio in prison in Wexner's house. And Ghislaine was part of that one too. So there's a lot that is not being reported and put out. And it could be that it's coming in doses. That's my assumption. Because again, even though people are like, I just want to know, give me the facts. No, people really don't want to know because when you know, you can't sleep at night. When you know all these atrocities, I mean, I find it sometimes, really hard to focus when I think of all these atrocities. I mean, don't you? I find it throughout my life. I've encountered things and seen things, and I always had like this, man, I can't shake this off because you can't unsee something you see.
Yeah, I've had 2 cases involving this stuff, and, I have a really, really, really hard time on Halloween because that's a special night for them.
Well, it's just it's really hard for the people. I know everyone's like, I just want to know, and it's like, I don't know if you want to know.
Yeah, I you don't
Yeah.
really wanna know because it is, it gets to your soul. I mean, it's something that you'll never forget.
It does, because next time you're gonna be looking to pick out your curtain, you're gonna be like, I'm thinking of a curtain. How many kids are underground right now?
Right.
Did they get their hands on that kid and extract what they need? Are they, disposing of it? Did that child have a mom that loved it? Is the mom still looking out for it? These are the things that you think of when you're picking out your backsplash, and you think that's the biggest problem you've got with everything else going. And that ability for people to just shut it out is also part of that innate response for self-preservation. And self-preservation is one of the most ugliest qualities humans have. You know,
Mhm.
fact that they're willing to just shut up, you know and once it gets uncomfortable, they're just like, I really want to help you, but I really can't, and that's what hurts, this self-preservation.
Yeah, and these kind of cases are really the child abuse cases are really some of the among the toughest to prosecute because your victim is so young, typically at the time that it happens. So you can imagine what it would be like if they came into a courtroom and testified, and they're basically going to have to. So you have to get evidence several other ways if you want to make something stick while they're underage. So, interestingly enough, I'm thinking that once everyone heard about Maxwell being arrested, I'm hoping that some of the victims who are obviously now adults will now feel like coming forward, some that haven't come forward. And I think we're already seeing some of that, at least it seems like there are, where they are coming forward now and having to go through that hell of reliving those experiences they had, but this is their day, to get even. So I really feel for the victims who are coming out now because they've had to live with that for years. The ones who have survived, of course, right?
Yeah.
Some of them don't.
Yeah, and then how, yeah, well, the majority of them don't.
Right, right.
It's not a reusable thing.
Hmm.
The reusable ones are the ones that they know would be great to groom others to for them to have what they want. Um, it's not only that. I mean, I don't know if you heard that story out of Texas. I think I talked about it on the radio, but maybe a year and a half ago, of this woman who lived by the border, and she had bought two young ladies, and she had them as slaves in her house. They would clean, rub her feet, raise her kids, and her husband and his friends would have fun with them when they wanted to. And these young girls, now age 30, mind you, big Democrat donors too.
Hmm.
One of them actually, they would go shopping and everything. And one of them saw that President Trump had been elected, and it was right after he did that whole trafficking corruption thing, right? And they helped them, and it led back to Chicago, to this woman, this Honduran woman that had like 40 kids that she was selling off to be house slaves, you know. And it's not just them. It's like, I was investigating back in 2009 up until 2015, and I tracked it back to three states, which was Nevada, North Dakota, and Connecticut. So they actually use the State Department to bring these young individuals in through work study programs, and then they disappear. A couple of them, there's a couple emails on the FOIAs that have been done where the Russians arrived and they never, they showed them where they're supposed to live and then they disappeared. Or these young girls from Thailand totally disappeared. This has been happening for a long time. And, it's so well organized. I mean, they're using government entities to throw cover for them. You know, the FBI is in on it, ATF is in on it, ICE is in on it, and soldiers are in on it. They're everywhere. Police are in on it, sheriffs are in on it, your local BCI is in on it. Your attorney generals, your congressmen, your senators, they're all in on it. And how do you gut the weed of this disgusting infestation? I mean, President Trump already told them, you either resign or you're going to have to go ugly.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to see a lot of them perp ugly out.
Yeah.
His daughter even said so.
Yeah, and one of the other cases that I had involving this, I was having to travel to another state to do an investigation on this person, and it wasn't in relation to anything to do with child trafficking or child abuse. It was this guy had stolen $20 million from a few of my clients, and he had been charged with I forget now, but he purchased. Child sex tapes or something. And so I actually called the AG of that state to try to get some information about the case so it would avoid, I was trying to avoid a trip to the courthouse to pull the case and look into it because it really wasn't directly related to what we were doing, but we just wanted it as a background. And that AG warned me off. He said, "Don't even bother. Don't even come up here. Don't even bother with it." And I'm thinking to myself, why are you even saying this to me, right? Because I'm trying to go after this guy because he stole $20 million from my clients. And when I got up there and I reviewed the case, then I saw what he was talking about. So anyway, you're right. It's all the way through the system. It's
Well,
all
here's
the
the
way through the
thing. Here's
system.
the thing. If your clients lost money, then they would have to track that money back to him, and that money that he spent might have gone to some really big heads, maybe
Yes,
within
yes.
the state. And they cover for each other. These people are sick.
Well, he was being protected, is what it was. He was being
Mm.
protected because he was in the ring. And we didn't realize that till we got up there. But this is what the AG was telling me, saying, just don't waste your time. Just forget it. Let it go. But we didn't. So anyway, so I have some experience in that firsthand experience, and it's very sickening. Um, okay, so we've got that to look forward to. Let's shift gears a little bit. I know, leading up to the 4th of July weekend, you were concerned about Trump traveling to Mount Rushmore.
Yes.
You want to talk about that?
Well, the reason that I was saying that in May is because of all these UN agreements that the tribes have, right?
Okay, yeah.
And, that's where I brought it back up. I talked about it over a year ago, 2 years ago. I've been saying it and I've been working on it with Millie Weaver, trying to see how we can put it together because, see, Native Americans are really sketchy when you speak with them. They don't like you scolding or pointing out wrongdoings, right? So, actually, I was talking with Scott Adams, not the Dilbert guy, because you can't imagine how much hate DMs I got from people. Like, oh my gosh, you support Scott Adams, and he's like this. I can't trust you. And I was like, there's two Scott Adams, right? It's not Dilbert. But
Hmm.
Scott Adams is actually Native American. His dad is actually a chief. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he's 100%, like feathers and all. He's
Uh-huh.
like, he's like super Native American. And I asked him, and he was like, well, it's the Democrats. They get to the Native Americans and, they make them hate Americans. And
Hmm.
why they've signed over their sovereignty to the UN. This is
Hmm.
really scary stuff. And the concern that I had is because I know that the land that is there is also has been signed off to the United Nations, you know, it could have been a bloodbath real easy. And the more I talked about it, the more I put it out there, the more it deterred things, right? It deterred things. And that's the thing. Sometimes when we say something, it stops them from doing something.
Hmm.
So this is why, on May 25th, I tweeted out to Secret Service, yo, I think we should cancel this because there was stirring up going with the Native Americans, which in the end was a pretty weak response. but they were up to something, and it seemed like people backed out last minute.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they came in charging with, vans, popping the tires, removing them to, grandstand, something else was planned, and that was what was left of their plan.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that was my fear. The fear that I know that these, tribes have signed over their sovereignty to the United Nations just to be spiteful. And now with the Supreme Court ruling, Jesus.
Yeah.
Like,
That the one regarding Oklahoma.
oh my gosh, right? It's like the
Yeah.
union owns all of that now. This is why we need to, pull out. We need to pull out, defund the UN, and tell them to pack their baggies and go home. The minute we do that, though, you're going to see that the UN will have a very strong presence within the tribal lands. That'll tell you everything right then and there when you see that. That's a problem.
How many UN troops would you say are in the States? Any idea?
Uh, More than we'd like, sombrero.
Okay. All
Oh,
right.
just so you guys know, sombrero is
Safe word.
yeah, it's a safe word.
Okay. Now, on a maybe a little bit of a lighter note, did you see the picture of the person on top of George Washington standing on top of George Washington's head?
No, what? No.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Tell me,
And I
what did I miss?
yeah, and I don't I don't know that much about it. I didn't know it sort of was an after the fact kind of thing. It was circulating. And there I saw a picture yesterday. Because I heard about it. I heard the chatter that there was somebody that was standing on top of George Washington's head on, I believe it was on either Friday or Saturday. And so then today I saw a picture of it.
Oh,
So
that's
I didn't,
interesting.
yeah. So I just wondered if you had heard anything about that. No.
No, it must have not been that, no, I totally missed that completely. So
Okay.
let me ask you a question. You know that the UN is also made up of Americans. So the real question would be how many UN troops are actually Americans?
Yeah. And do you know the answer to that?
Sombrero.
Okay. Because,
Let me tell you something. The UN is the most atrocious organization ever. Aside from the fact that they feed the flat earth theory, with their shapes, they've totally stayed on point. Did you see what they did with Turkey? I mean, 2 years ago, they decided that Libya is not a legit nation unless it's the city of Tripoli, right?
hmm
So the city by itself, right, is the real Libya according to the UN. The rest of Libya is not. And so that little portion of Libya obviously has no army. So they designate one of the Muslim Brotherhood leaders, which is Erdogan of Turkey.
hmm
They're going to be in charge. So what does Erdogan do with that? He now can parade from Turkey all the way to Libya and take over the seas. And what has he done? Illegal drilling, patrolling the shores. Israel, Cyprus, Greece, even Jordan all got together, said, yo, this got to stop because this is a big problem. The Syrians, everyone's getting together like this is a big problem. He's taken over everything. And he says, I don't acknowledge what the rest of the world says. All the water surrounding Cyprus and Greece is Turkey's. And it's like, so that's not the way it works, boundaries and stuff. So he's pushing to get 6 nautical miles, and he's been doing it for a while. Well, I noticed that in 2018, President Trump started sending our troops from Germany to Greece. And it wasn't until 2019 that he sent a big amount of them to the Pagasetic Gulf, which is on the eastern border of Greece, right? Kind of in the middle of the nation, right? Not super north, not super south, like smack in the middle. Okay. And it sent 88 choppers, sent night vision, sent all this stuff. And I'm like, damn, huge beef up. Then on October 9th, just last year, Pompeo was there and he said some really interesting things and nobody aired it. I think I was the only one in the United States that analyzed his interview there. And it was really, really interesting. Well, lo and behold, I'll tell you what. The one thing that happened today was, Turkey decided that the first actual church of the historical Christians that was created as like, the head of the church. So the head of the Greek church, you know how the Catholics have the Vatican?
Yeah.
The Orthodox, which means like original Christians, right? Not Catholics came after that, right?
Right.
So original Christians with the apostles built, right? They built this headquarters in Constantinople. That's what Istanbul's real name is, right? And that was built, and it actually is rumored to have housed the Ark of the Covenant at some point before they sent it down to Ethiopia to be hidden away because then, the Romans were coming for it, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that was a church and housed many relics. Even the cross at the top of the church was part of the cross where Jesus was crucified. Now, during the Ottoman Empire, the insane Muslim Brotherhood Ottomans, barbarians, burnt everything down, even Jesus's cross, everything, right? And they had the Greeks as slaves for 400 years. This is no joke. I mean, and you know what? The Greeks aren't even asking for reparations. How weird, right? But they
Yeah.
were asking back from some artifacts because the Turkish people had stolen like ancient Greek artifacts, like from the Parthenon, and then they sold them to the Brits. And then the Brits are housing them like they're ours. And they're like, well, they were actually stolen and sold. Yeah, so what? We don't care. So, that's the only thing they've asked for, not pay me because we were slaves for 400 years. So anyway, so this church is like the center for Orthodox Christianity.
Uh-huh.
And yesterday, Erdogan decided that he is going to convert it into a mosque.
Oh.
Now, wait a minute. Now, here's where Putin comes in.
Mm-hmm.
So Putin is very, he's a firm, or he's like old calendar Orthodox. He's not even new calendar. So old calendar means we still go by the old calendar, right? I was
Yeah.
raised in an old calendar family. That means while everyone's doing New Year's, we're celebrating Christmas on the 7th of January.
Mm-hmm.
So now he said that he's going to turn it into a mosque. Putin is pissed. The Greeks the Greeks have sat there paying 80% taxes to the Germans, right? Who, by the way, the Germans, they vacated their debt after the Nazis. They were the only ones that said, we forgive you. It's not your fault. He was crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here we are. Putin is pissed. The Greeks are on fire right now, right?
Yeah.
On fire right now. And I'm like, oh, I guess the prophecy was right. Because this was actually a problem. Like, I knew that Kurdistan is in the works, and this is probably what we've been working on because we know it's coming, because the UN literally set Turkey up for failure. Because just as it's going to happen, he's going to come in from the north and he's going to crush him, because you're going to get the Syrians coming in from the south, which is Russia and Syria, and then out from his west, the Greeks and the Cypriots, it's going to be a hot mess. And you're going to see Armenia back, Kurdistan rise, and Turkey's just going to go. And this is only going to be successful. And I say this, and I shouldn't have said only be successful. It will be successful because Erdogan will be taken out this fall. This is the word on the street, if not already. So, I'm just saying this is indeed the war. This is what we've been seeing happening slowly over 2.5 years. So hopefully your listeners and my listeners understand, how wars, come about. Because, since I started my radio show on my own, slowly I've been showing people, hey, the heat map is here. It's Idlib, Syria, Turkey, Greece, Jordan, Israel. Look over here. Don't listen about, Iran. That's not a problem yet, right? We still got that under control. They're scattering. Don't look at China. It's not going to be war. This is like cyber war. I said that already. Don't look. This is where the problem begins, because this is where the Turkey is the most important piece of land someone can control, because it gives you unfettered access to the Middle East, Africa, and Asia and Europe at once as a land.
Right. It's right in there in the middle. Yeah.
Right. And this is why Ukraine was so important to the globalists because it does the same through water, Black Sea, etc. So, Turkey is going to be crushed. Turkey was created for the purpose of taking down the Roman and the Greek Empire, right? As
Yep.
far as the Anglo Saxons wanted to. That's how it was. So, that is going to happen now. And we're seeing it unfold. And it's been happening over almost 3 years now, unfolding slowly, slowly. I even wrote articles like, Turkey's getting roasted. It was like a Thanksgiving article in 2018. I pointed out the weapons that we're sending, and when we took out Soleimani, we didn't tell Erdogan. We did it through Greece. So it's like, no one's paying attention at anything that's
Hmm.
really going on. And this is why, Bolton was salty because he didn't like the way we worked it,
Yeah.
because we were going against the UN, right? And then all the nations, Israel, Cyprus, and Greece, denounced Tripoli and acknowledged General Haftar of Libya, right? Not the UN guy. So this is like actual war. And I don't even know, how, people are not paying attention to that because this is World War III. This is where it goes. And we have to be calm, cool, and collected. And like I said, and I've been saying, Turkey, we don't even have to worry about it. You know what I'm saying? Because Putin's going to take care of that for us.
Do you think this will have any effect on the European Union?
Well, that's the whole goal. The European Union is the project of the globalists. That was the
Right.
the proving ground, right?
Right. Right.
Uh,
That was the
they,
model. That was the business
They
model.
did. They did it with World War II. They ushered World War One, World War Two, and World War Two. Just so people know, Hitler wasn't always nuts, right? And he wasn't against Jews in the first place. You know that, right?
Yeah.
He was more about, no, we don't need to change to the one united dollar currency. We're going to stick to what we got. And they were like, yeah, we're going to do this. And so suddenly, they put the right handlers around him. And there he is. He's like, oh, it's the Jews. And so all the anger was focused there when it was the globalists. So
Hmm.
and maybe some of them happen to be Jews, but I'll tell you what, the English aren't Jews. That's for sure. I mean, they made up their own Bible too, right? The King James Version and
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Protestant, and they created all these religions. I mean, these are the people that used to hang people because the Pope said so. And it's like, yeah, did he send you an email? Like, oh, it came 3 months later, but we killed you a day later because the Pope said so. Because from Italy, whatever. The history tells you exactly who, what, when. And, the EU was the proving ground. That's not even the center. The center has been designated as, Nursed, the new light. They just changed the name over from Astana. Astana, Kazakhstan used to be the capital. Now it's was renamed as Nur Said, which means like new light, new dawn, new, yeah. So that's supposed to be the capital of the new global world. That Putin's not working with. China was supposed to usher it in, but stay apart from it in a way.
Hmm.
Their deal. But now they're like a little bit confused. Seriously. The Africans are just kind of waiting to see, all right, I don't know which side to go on. These guys have screwed us. These guys have screwed us. We're screwing each other. Like they're just at bay, just like, I could just like, I would love to be in a room with all the African nations to see like legit what they're talking about. Like they'd be like, yo, like, what do we do? Like,
Hmm.
imagine if you're the leader of like, Tanzania or Ghana or, Congo, and you're sitting there and you're like, damn, whose side do we pick? Right? Because right now there's three, well, there's two sides, but almost three because China's kind of in the middle right now. What, how do you do this? What would you do if you were African? An African leader, what would you do?
I'd sit back and watch them fight it out.
And send samples of fruit and stuff.
Well,
Did you
yeah, yeah,
coronavirus
yeah,
to
and
your hood?
I would test a couple more goat or a couple more fruits and a goat, and I'd try to get that on CNN if I could. Yeah, I mean, what else you gonna do? That's the problem with them. And hopefully, maybe they can um, go after Gates, right?
Oh, wow. Gates, really? Look, I'll tell you how I knew that Africa was coming into the picture. Well, I knew that things were changing in 2013 when I saw that the biggest PR firms started buying up PR firms in Africa. Like, Africa doesn't even have power. It's called the dark continent because they've kept it literally in the dark.
Hmm.
So the question is, why would massive advertising and PR firms, private ones, right, start buying up little ad companies and here and there. I'm like, what? I thought the Chinese were the only ones going in there for slave labor and buying stuff. Like,
Right.
you know, so I was like, oh, it started. Like, I didn't expect it to start so soon because everything seemed, even though Barack Hussein Obama was in office, it seemed like people were keeping it contained, right? And that's probably because I was working on very specific things that I was not paying attention to see that all of the underlinging work that was being done to usher it back to the city's country scenario. So, I feel bad for Africa. I mean, they have been used and abused for decades, if not centuries, right?
Right.
And kept in the dark and in third world position only because what? One, they're rich. Two, the continent's way bigger than they tell you. And three, they've got secrets nobody should know.
Like,
Sombrero. Mind the crap out of it, right? I know. Elon Musk does the same, everybody does.
and I'm like, what?
Yeah,
I'm thinking, I was like, Africa? Are you serious? And he says, yeah, yeah, we're going down to Africa. So this was in the 90s. So I saw that coming. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on down there. And didn't Obama make a trip down there when he was president? And Bush and Clinton happened to show up down there at the same time.
just one, are you kidding? Like, they've had so many trips, and you remember that huge delegation the Democrats just did, country hopping in Africa, fronting, that asset jihadi in Congress, Ilhan Omar, that one.
Yeah.
Mhm. And the funny thing is they went, to all bases where we have black sites. It's like this woman gets intelligence and now she knows where all the black sites we have are in Africa because every single place she went, that's where she was going. I wrote an article about it. She went to all of them, not one, all of them. I was just like, uh, hello, like, is anybody, I'm going to tell you something, right? In Washington, and I saw this firsthand when, people would come in from the DC offices or who, carry badges that say CIA. Because when you're really, really, really intelligent, you got no badge. Okay.
Right.
So these people coming around with their badges, and it felt like nobody knows what the heck they're doing in DC. They're just kind of like doing stuff and hoping it works. Uh, you know, I swear this is the way it is. And I bet you the same thing is happening to half of the people at the White House. I kid you not, because these people, for example, Project Stargate, right? Project Stargate. They're talking about, oh, we use psychics. This is no, that's as high of a clearance that they would give you to know what that is.
Hmm.
So all the documents you see being released are rubbish. They're not even half of the truth because even the people that think they know the truth don't get the truth. Does that make sense?
Oh
Because
yeah.
we're going to have that. That's what it is. I'm just saying, like, DC is a hot mess. If you ever go to the State Department, I tell you what, everybody looks busy and they're doing absolutely nothing.
You're
They're
right.
on Etsy, on eBay, and they're booking meetings and spending our money. When it comes down to foreign policy, they sit down. They're like, "How much do you want?" I don't know. Let's talk. All right, deal. And then they have all this paperwork and all these staffers and all these people writing up things that makes 0 sense. 0 sense. And all they do is bribe people and give money. No one's actually executing policy. Now we're getting someone that does policy. No one in DC knows what's going on. They have no idea. The FBI sucks. The rank and file do police work, right? They do police work. And then
Yeah.
when you get up to like almost SES and then SES and then VSES, it all goes tits up. Everybody's like, so what are we doing? I don't know. Like, they have one big case and they sweat the crap out of it like CNN does, milking something for whatever they can get. I mean, it's ridiculous. Even the war games that we play, the wars that we have, you know, there's been times, and I don't want to say because, most of this is classified, right? But it's like, I come down there with a bunch of people and they're like, we're going to do, and I'm like, why are we doing this? Because we're going to, and what is the benefit? Yeah. So these were the orders. And I'm like,
Well, isn't the deep state or the deep state department essentially the clerks for the CIA in
okay.
essence?
So let me tell you something. Deep State Department is all about, uh, you know, uh, a front. They're
Right.
they're where you wash the money. For the past 15 years, every year they audit the State Department. They can't reconcile their bank book,
Yeah.
and that's for the stuff that's above board, right? Because they got black pockets too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and the problem that we have is that we have career officials on there and they have no idea what they're doing. Like, it's the hottest mess ever. Like, nobody wants to work and they just want to get paid, which, by the way, these people are raking a paycheck when we're not. I'm just saying, during
Yeah.
virus. I should just point that out that they're all getting paid, but we're not.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're the ones that are writing that check too.
Sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Annoys me. So, a lot of people are asking, have you seen what's going on with Wayfair?
Um, yeah. Let's get into that while we're here.
Well,
Go
no,
ahead.
I want you to go ahead first.
Well, is it this is the child trafficking stuff, is that correct?
Yeah, how they sell cabinets with names that just happen to be that of missing children.
For thousands of dollars, right?
Yeah, for tens of thousands of dollars. Yeah, that cabinet better have a goose in there that lays gold eggs. You
Yeah.
know, that is, I actually came across that by chance once when I was shopping for pillows. I handed it all over to the FBI. I should have rented a car when I went there.
Oh.
Well, that's I kid you not. 3 weeks later, I had like this internship thing for my MBA. I have like 3 classes left to finish my MBA, right? And it was
Mhm.
dude, I like totally, yeah, we don't need you anymore. And I was like, okay, well, can you fill this out? Yeah, so we're not. And I'm like, what happened? Like, and this is a PR firm. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I kept my mouth shut. All I did was sit there so that I can get my credit and I did my job. So it was a little bit bizarre. That happened, and then other things happened, and it's like I shouldn't have, staked out the building in my car with my own plates on it. Should have been a rental, but duh. I didn't. I actually was hoping that it wasn't what I thought it was. When I discovered it by accident, I was hoping, and I was hoping that the FBI would be like, "Oh, these poor little kids," or something. You know,
Yeah, wrong, right?
Never heard from them again. Listen, I wasn't naive, but obviously they can check who you are. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, like, I was hoping that it was, um, I was hoping that at least some rank and file were good. All of us we never see people with bad eyes, do we? Because if we do, then that's not a life worth living, right?
Right.
But Wayfair, on the other hand, is like, oh, this is a then they have Snopes. They're like, look, Snopes said so. And it's like, who
Yeah.
listens to Snopes? Remember, they were begging us for money because the DNC didn't have money to fund them. And they're like all fake news. And let's not forget, CNN and all of them pushed the Russia hoax as if it was real too. So that's super fake news. But let's get into Wayfair a little bit. Not only Wayfair, there's Amazon, there's Walmart, there's eBay, there's so many, there's YouTube. Think about it. How many of these big box companies are selling human beings as, things?
You're right. And how soon is that all going to break? Soon?
Well, this is the great awakening. See, the thing about change is that it's never easy, right?
Yeah, painful.
Yeah, you want to lose weight, your tongue's going to be hanging out. You want to break up with your girlfriend, you're going to hurt, right? You want to change your hair color and go from black to blonde, you're going to burn that hair.
Yep.
You want to get new skin cells and do dermabrasion, you're going to have a red face like a raw butt of a baby when it's got a wet, right? So it's like it's always change is always painful. And this is the amount of drip drop that can come out to wake the masses. And the timing couldn't be better with Ghislaine. We already have everything we need, right?
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
We've been having everything we need. Don't forget, I have an article on my website where I had pictures of all these people: Microsoft, Bezos, Harvard professors in the Lolita Express jet, like not at a party, like they're in the jet posing. This is why they got fired. Even Red State Radio was contacted to have me take their pictures down.
Oh, that's when you know you're over the target, when you're taking
Well,
flack. Good job.
yeah, well, I didn't. I mean, Scott, I was like, "Don't worry about it. I get stuff like this all the time." And I was like, "But it's on my website." Yeah, but you talked about it on the radio, and I was like, "Great, let me talk about it some more." So I started tweeting it out, tag MIT and Harvard. You want me to take this down? Come and get it.
Right.
I'll just put it everywhere. And the thing is, not a lot of people were circulating them because my personal Twitter account was taken down. It was taken down when I started dropping memorandums of understanding that I had sourced legally. They were unredacted and I started posting them. And not only that, I had an attorney general go to a judge and ask him to not let me use the internet.
Oh,
Yeah, I have that. I've been through a lot. You have no idea. I'm maimed like nobody's business. But you know what? I'm fine. All that mud that I wear it proudly. And it's like, look at me. I'm great with mud on. So,
mhm.
so these things drip, 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 drip that are coming out are incredible. We need that. We really, really need that.
So when are we going to get everybody on board? How much longer is it going to take? Because basically, I think we need to get the Democrats, and I don't mean the people at the top who are the ones that are in the path of the bus, but I mean their supporters.
You mean the reality dysphoria reporters or the teachers unions and
Yeah, those people, the people on the lower level who are just people, like us, but they've been brainwashed and they don't see what's going on. When are they? Because those are the ones that we need to convert, in my opinion.
okay, let me give you a profile of those.
Okay.
Personal profile. I go to church. So at this one church that I'd go to, there would be a couple and they're teachers, right?
Hmm.
Every Sunday there. Choir, amazing, great, right? Very religious. Yet were they support the Democrat Party.
Right. Right.
How can you be a person that claims you're of God and that you love people, yet support
Right.
a party that murders babies, that turns a blind eye to trafficking, but you hate Trump because what?
Well, they hate Trump because they're told to hate Trump. That's what it amounts to.
No, it amounts to that is what evil is, man, incarnated. See, the most evil person you'll see is not on the street corner. It's in church. It is in church. Yeah, I kid you not. The most evil people you will see are in church. And that is, that comes out really horrible. But, people that go to church, they know those people, the vicious people, the ones that are in God's house and they spit things out like it's sour vinegar, right? When they talk about people.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that are the big problem. See, the dildo waving, screeching, reality dysphoria type, young ones, it only takes them a few seconds to see it and it's it. That's it. You know what I mean? the Democrats, the actual voting Democrats, not the insane ones, are the ones that I'm telling you. It's the ones that are supposedly loving the Karens, right?
Right.
Ones that, oh, we have to be, the ones that have been through Teach America programs. The devil is in the church more than he's out on the sidewalk. Evil will fester around your ankles rather than surround you. And I'm speaking to this from a really tragic experience on that. So I'm just saying, everyone should understand that. The devil's not going to come to you and say, knock, knock with his horns and be like, yo, what's up? He's going to be right at your feet, curling around like a snake that he is, especially in your church. In churches, that is where they fester. Because you know what? It's kind of like the feeling these disgusting people have of power. And I've tasted that power. When you've shifted things, when you've hijacked, the course of history, you're just like, damn, I did that, right? You don't even know, and you get this power trip. I've had it too. That's the way the devil works too. He gets off on that, off on the fact that I'm right here, man. You can't see me. What's up? That's the thing. It's all about power and overpowering. So that's the scariest of all, are the people that are around your feet in the church, because that's where you'll see the worst of the worst coming out.
So will these people be converted during the Great Awakening, or will we lose them?
Well, as long as we can have them see what the party really stands for, because right now they're still making excuses. Like
Yeah.
I have them on my Facebook page. I care for them. I love them. And I pray harder for them than I do for others, only because they are so lost. Because they can't see what they're doing wrong. They
Right.
can't,
But
and
it,
they're the ones that are kind of like, I'm evil, but I don't know I'm evil. I think I'm good because I'm doing what the TV says I should be doing. Mhm. So,
yeah. But
you know,
what happens though, Tori, when their foundation gets knocked from underneath them? Then what happens?
well, that's when you see them screeching, right? You've seen the younger ones, how quick they are to respond on that, where they're like, ah, and you're just like, okay, all
But
right.
but are they gonna get on board or not? I guess is my question. Because
Well,
we're gonna have to deal with them somehow, some way if they don't.
look, Paladin, bottom line is their votes are minuscule compared.
Right,
President
right,
Trump is
right.
winning this election in a freaking landslide.
I agree. I
No,
agree.
landslide. And after the 20th, I'm just going to tell you, after the 20th of July, we're going to have the ball rolling. We're going to see things happening, but nothing's going to happen till after Labor Day. And unfortunately, Barr is going to have to go too. So it's going to be such whiplash. I kid you not. It's going to be the most insane. This fall is going to be so crazy. Thanksgiving's gonna come and you're gonna be like, wait a minute, what happened to summer, Halloween, Labor Day? Am I still wearing white pants? Because we're gonna be at that point, everything's gonna go nuts. You know how the thing about the Orthodox religion, right? I think I was having a debate with someone. I don't remember what it was. He was on my page because I said the problem that I had with Ukraine was that they first destroyed the church there. They created a new Orthodox church, right? And now they're trying to take Hagia Sophia, which is the last front, the Constantinople front on religion. I'm telling you, the Catholics are next.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, yeah,
Catholics
yeah.
freak out because when he signs this thing at The Hague of one religion for all religions, dude, and it's going to be piggybacked on the spark war that's going to happen between Muslim and Orthodox Christians because of what Erdogan did.
Mhm.
That's coming after Labor Day. That, if anything, should piss everyone off. And already I'm seeing in Catholic churches, cardinals and priests kind of easing people into the idea of we should all just have one God. It doesn't matter.
Mm.
It's just one God that we all subscribe to. And it's like, all right, Vatican. So you're like what, third in the world with the most property? You're gonna hand it over in the name of God to like the people.
Right.
Yeah. So this is where we're starting to see it. They're taking out everything. They're pulling it apart.
Okay, so I have heard that we've got a huge, huge, huge event coming. And
Yeah.
I was not given the timing, but it's going to involve our vice president. Have you heard the same?
So like tell me what you heard and I'll invoke some. I've actually said this, and someone was like, "Why'd you say that on air?" And it's like, "Don't worry, nobody really pays attention to Troy."
Well,
Um,
well, I've heard that he is going to be stepping down,
so,
and that's going to trigger the event.
you mean after the elections?
Well, that's the one thing. The timing is the one thing that I didn't get. And
Okay, so let me say something.
okay,
Penn is I've been saying, and I've taken a lot of heat for it, right?
hmm,
You know, I'm all for removing him because
yeah,
he has to be removed. But the concern that I have is that history likes to repeat itself and vulnerabilities happen when things change, right?
hmm.
So throughout time, we've noticed that every single president that has been assassinated has done what?
Well, they've tried to get rid of the Federal Reserve, but they've.
Yeah, but what have they done? They all had a new VP.
Hmm.
So vulnerabilities happen. If you have a clown under control, keep him under control until you're 100% ironclad, no holes, no leaking. Because
Well,
that's the problem. Look at it. Garfield, JFK, Abraham
hmm,
Lincoln.
Lincoln, yeah.
No, every single president had to switch up on VP. Every single one.
Well, Nixon did too. If you remember, Nixon did. Agnew
And
got
and he got
nailed.
and he got done in for what? For trying to expose the Democrats.
Yeah, yeah, and we ended up with Jerry Ford.
Yeah.
How lucky were we for that one, right? Of course, Jerry helped him cover up the JFK assassination on the Warren Commission because so he was due. He made his bones then.
A CIA direct. Never mind. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut there. But I'm just gonna say, bottom line is I'm yay. I hear, right? I
Yeah.
hear. It's not gonna be Christy Noam. Even though she talks a really good game and she's a rising star, I could see her becoming a Speaker of the House very soon.
Oh, I would love that.
Oh my
She's
gosh, would you ever?
she is so impressive. It's unbelievable.
And she's hot too. Hello. Like, compare picture Crypt Keeper and her next to each other. Hello, needless to say, and she uses her words correctly. I mean, that speech made Nikki Haley like, "No, it's my turn," and Candace Owen kind of shift their positions. Like, wait a minute. I'd like to see her run at some point, honestly, as president. But let's see where the USA lands and how it's going to turn out.
Well,
You
she has really proven herself during this COVID bullshit. Don't you think?
Well, yeah, she has. She has. I agree. She has. But let's just see how the next 8 years go. For because that's what I'm advocating for. 8 years. The first four were stolen, and
Gosh, I've heard that too.
well,
Okay, that brings up another. All right, so and I've seen you tweet this, so I wanted to ask about this about erasing the 8 miserable years of Sotoro. Can we do that?
look, when you apply for a job, right?
Mhm.
Like, why Strzok was fired immediately from the FBI, right?
You mean besides the fact that he's a CIA agent?
Yeah. Besides that,
No,
what was the technicality they used?
I don't know. I don't know.
He failed to disclose that he lived in Iran.
Oh, okay.
So there's technicalities that you have to state, like when you put on your paperwork. And remember, it was only a couple weeks before that I broke the story that Peter Strzok was raised in Iran.
Right.
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 So if you're in it on and you don't put it down on paper, that's a big problem. And when you're getting a paycheck from the FBI and you're supposedly a reservist for 20 years but never turn up, that's a big problem. So it's all about factual information. So when you have a first lady that hasn't been honest with her identity and a president that hasn't been honest with his identity, that makes their application and acceptance into office null and void. Not because they could have been two-bit hookers, right? I'm just saying, doesn't matter. Could have been like the guy that owns the deli on the corner and, turn tricks on the side. Nobody,
Right.
as long as it's on paper, no one was going to see that anyway because he put cement boots on it. The bottom line is they lied. Like, think about it. Michelle Obama could have done so much for all these, gender dysphoria people, that are transgendered, right? That legit feel more male or more female. That's a legit cause, right? That actually happens. And there's also scientific research on that. More hormones, it happens in the womb. Lots of things happen in the womb. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
This is when we get cleft palates, things don't complete being made. But they could have done so much for the LGBT community and they didn't. What are they going to say? Becoming Michelle. I actually thought when I saw the title, oh man, she's going to tell the world now. Well, this is where the LGBTQ community should be like, nah, girl, you left us hanging all these years. You didn't say. So it's going to be down to that would be the easiest way to erase those 8 years is by nullifying the election in the first place. In the fact that false identity used, false pretense, false identity basically. Well, like, who are your kids, man? You lied about your kids.
Yeah. But okay, so let's say that occurs. Let's say that becomes known and that occurs. How do you logistically go back and undo those 8 years? Is there a statute for that? Is there a law for that?
Yeah.
Is there a procedure, a protocol that's been established?
Yes, and that is, well, to undo it, every single executive order will be undone immediately. Now, what was passed from the House will be examined to see how much of a percentage of influence the president have. Any vetoes that he put in, those get the opportunity to be re-examined, right? So all these things are done. It's kind of like zip unzip, basically. So retroactively, he can be impeached. So that is something that even Judicial Watch. I was so proud when they put it out. Wait, I was like, yay. Because I remember in 2015, I was like, yo, Obama, you're going to be impeached after you're out of office. And he followed me after that. Right? He followed me after that. And I was like, oh my God, stop. With my previous, I joined Twitter with a personal account in early 2009. So I've been tweeting for like forever.
Mhm.
Obviously, myself. Usually it was the scientists, and get this, Russian scientists, okay, talking science. Like, this is how well, most of the Russians is how I spoke, like open on Twitter, not on DMs, like open, right? Um, so I was using it a lot for that, and then I'd throw in my snide comments every now and then because I had to make sure I had a very wholesome appearance when I'd appear at these labs. Is, hi, I'm just a student. I'm going to be here interning and shadowing for a little bit. Kind of old for a student. It's like age isn't much. So, so,
Okay.
so I
Ar-
use Twitter a lot for that, and for my OSHA dealings too.
Okay, so let's go back to now. You said 8 more years. So how do we accomplish that with Trump?
Well, okay, that's not a conversation we're going to be having until 2021, where everyone's going to be thinking of 2024, right? Who's running, who's doing, and
Right.
that's where, look, February 21st, 22nd, 23rd of 2021, everything's going to be just perfect. So at that time is when things are changing for us completely. Considering that we still stay on this timeline, right? Uh,
Mhm.
so once that's over in the summer of 2021, a certain congresswoman will put in the proposal of taking back the 4 years that was stolen from the president, to discuss this on the floor in Congress, and they're going to actually put it through. And this will be done by holding accountable those individuals that actually falsely accused the president, that spent taxpayer dollars hunting the president down on something they already knowingly and willingly did that was false, right? And this is the method and the way it can be ushered in to have exceptions for a third term, because there are always exceptions. Kind of like how there was an exception for Mueller to be an extra 3 years of FBI director, right? There's always exceptions to rules, and this is one of them. He didn't have a full 4 years. So, I've always said Trump Flynn 2020, right? Just saying. So it'll be after the election, if anything.
Okay. Because I've heard something similar to that, a little bit different, but something similar where
Tell
there
me.
is well, there is going to be a reset. But I don't have I haven't got the details, so it's kind of hard to go through that. But it's like, yeah, because of the 3 years, 3.5 years that he's lost fighting these clowns over stuff that is not true. And so therefore he's lost that. And they were going to reset the House back to Republican majority. Now, I don't know how they can do that. That one I don't understand but that was part of the explanation I got. But
Well,
it's similar to what you're saying because
well, I
essentially they were saying you're gonna basically erase the 4 years, the first 4 years. In other words, that doesn't count in the two-term conversation.
well, I've already self-appointed myself on this congresswoman's, you know,
Oh, yeah?
I've self-appointed myself. I'm like, I'm gonna be there and I'm gonna be in your legislation. I can already tell you that I've already got it worded and ready and pulled. So I am going to be helping push that like nobody's business. Now, the remaining Congress, I'm just gonna say, the little bits that are still gonna remain, that are the most insane ones, are
Mhm.
out the door right after February. Like February, first week of March, they're gonna be out the door.
That's a long list.
Well, yeah, but it's a good thing that the congresswoman, knew a lot of, we worked together a lot on this Ilhan Omar stuff. So,
Mhm.
we want special elections, when we get them and we parade them around. So, as that comes in, that's how we usher them out, by bringing it to the floor and condemning those that have done that. And once that is passed, they will have to leave because they will be found as such. Now, the question then is, okay, if we remove the remaining clowns and jihadis and communists, because you can't even be a communist and be in Congress, that's like the law.
Mhm.
You can't be they kicked out socialists because they were socialists. And now they're proudly saying, I'm a socialist. And it's like, dude, it's against our, our actual statutes. Like, what are you doing? So when we get them out with a law, with a bill for others, right? Because we will have majority coming in January.
Okay, I was gonna say
Yeah.
that's
we will-
not doable without a majority. Okay.
Yeah. But then we also have to get rid of some Republicans too. You know
Yeah,
what
oh,
I
yeah,
mean?
yes, 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 yes.
It's not just Democrats. And it kills me. I have friends and I'm like, dude, you're talking to this senator, and it's like, do you know who he's evil?
Yep,
Like,
yep.
look at his mustache. Like,
Mhm.
that's just one example. But these people are all out for themselves. All you have to do is look at their portfolios. I mean, they report their stuff every year, their
Mhm.
financials. When you look at their portfolio, you know where their heart lies, and it's definitely not with you.
Yep.
That's all we need to see. We will have the majority of the House this year, which will be good. But, I think we're going to see a lot of changes after President Trump leaves. America will not be the same in its structure, how it operates. The people have now decided, and that is one of the greatest achievements the president's done, to be active citizens.
Yeah. Okay, financial system. Talk about that.
In what aspect?
What's coming? What do you? Because I know you've talked about this a little bit on your show.
A little bit. You mean going back to the gold standard
Yeah.
and watching the world burn? I've talked about it for years. I mean,
Are-
that's the way we get out of everything.
Okay. So are you saying we're going to get rid of the Federal Reserve? Surely not.
Why wouldn't we get rid of monopoly money?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they were already discussing the SHC currency. Why do you think they hate Trump so much? He's going to annihilate the whole world's economy. The only people that are laughing right now, be like, yeah, bring it, is Venezuela, Russia, Brazil, South Africa, African nations that still have their gold. Right?
Right.
You
Right.
know, that's where it's at. Everybody else is going to have to start from zero.
Okay. And when do you see this? When do you see? What do you see on the timeline? When are we going to know this? When is he going to tell the public?
Christmas Eve 2020 when he signs it.
Okay. All right. Because I'm hearing that it's already in place and they're already testing it, and we're going to have to run two systems to get the old out and get the new in.
That's what we're doing right now. That's why we
Right.
don't have coins.
Right.
I had
Yeah.
a lot of people email me about coins, by the way. And just the other day, I went to the gas station to get gas and cigarettes, and the lady was like, "Hey, you have to give me exact change, or you have to use a card." And I was like, huh? And she was like, "Oh, we don't get any more coins from the bank. There's a coin shortage." And I was like, I see." Okay. So now I saw it. And so this is like dinky gas station around the corner by the bridge,
Yeah.
post wall where, the lady's outside smoking cigarettes rather than inside. And she just puts it out, to come in, and they have no coins. So no coins. So yeah, we're already doing that. That's when, with his last, move where now the Treasury owns the Fed Reserve. And this is why everyone's so obedient. But it's gonna be a pretty awesome time. I think 2021, 2022 is gonna be the super honeymoon period.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be kind of amazing that the new children that'll be born then won't be born with debt on their head.
Right.
I think that's incredible. And all these student loans will be forgiven, some mortgages. I mean, almost everything is going to be forgiven. Now, for those that have dollars in their bank account, that'll be substantial, but they'll regulate it, because if you have like $1 million, right, sitting in a bank account and you're paying 15 cents for a burger, we're going to have to figure out how we're going to do that, right?
Yep.
So this is all being worked out right now, from what I gather. But the turn and the signature should be, the John Hancock should be done just the way they did it when they took our power away from a stable economy. To their printers at home was done on the 24th of December. I mean, our president loves revenge and he loves symbology, right? I mean, that's why he sat in Winston Churchill's seat.
And then he using JFK's desk in the White House.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He likes that. I mean, that's like the ultimate troll for all of them. So,
Yeah. And they just hate that too. It just drives them crazy.
yeah, it does. It does. So, so that's what we expect, financially. I mean, this means that any debt we have, it's like, yeah, we don't recognize this currency. Sorry, guys. I know you're all trading on the dollar, but see ya. Peace out. That is going to be like so awesome. Uh, I would wish to see the face, but, maybe the queen won't be around for that. I'm hearing, King William's coming up the rank and she might be a little bit sick.
What do you think about that whole thing? That whole well, you know about what's his name, Hallett? You know his claims to be King John the Third. Have you heard anything about that?
No, tell me about it. Ooh,
Well,
tickle my interest.
yeah, this guy has sort of emerged, and there's always been a question about the Windsors and whether they're German ancestry and whether they really, deserve to have the throne. And all of a sudden, there's this guy by the name of, I think it's Gregory Hallett, who has sort of emerged on the scene here in the last, I don't know, few weeks, few months, and he's basically claiming to be King John the Third, and he is, saying that he deserves to have the throne. So I don't, honestly, I don't pay much attention to it, because to me that whole king and queen thing is just so outdated. It's ridiculous. It's like, okay, so just because you're born, you deserve to rule over people. I mean, that's just so old thinking that I don't really pay much attention to it. But I didn't know if it hit your radar or not. But he's been doing some interviews, and he's been claiming that he's King John the Third, I believe. So I just wondered if you had heard anything about that,
Well,
since you mentioned the Queen.
right. Well, I don't know. I haven't delved into that. What I can, let me just tell you what we should be focusing on. How's that?
Okay.
So, first things first, this whole bloodline thing and I deserve to rule happens everywhere. It happens on tribal lands too. I have friends that are Native Americans that have land because, they're a descendant of, Sitting Bull or whatever, right?
Right. Right.
So, this is a very ancient type thing because legacy was always important. So legacy is important. Like I work really hard. If I create a business, I want to give that to my kids so they can continue and then they give it to their kids, right? That's the way it goes. Now, um, as far as the kingdoms go, there are 13 actual bloodlines and um, um, how do I say this without so throughout time and any version of history you may know, there's always been the 13 persons from
Right.
past, present, and future. And you see it as a repetitive, um, ha- uh, repetitive, I would say, saga. Now, they believe that they own this biome.
Yep.
And so they will do anything to maintain that power since they've been able to do it throughout time.
Right. That's their
So,
whole plan. I mean, that's how they set it up. That's their whole plan. They look out 50, 100 years and say, how can we do this?
right. So the people that we see in our nation trying to usurp us, right, are just the foot soldiers. You understand,
Right.
right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And the people that actually run this, obviously, we know the queen, right? But the bloodlines run deeper than the queen. Those
Hmm.
are the front men, right? The queens,
Yeah.
the pharaohs, the tsars,
The ones, yeah, the ones we see. The ones
right.
we see.
The
Yeah.
ones you see. You don't see the others.
Right.
So this is a long-standing, kind of sheding. And this change, this new era, this new age that we entered, um, allows people to see it that way, that we are all shareholders here. And we are not individuals to be ruled, but that we rule and govern ourselves collectively. Yes?
Right.
And so this is why I say the face of the United States of America will actually take shape of what was originally set forth in 1776. But like I said, when they signed that paperwork, right? That paper was signed and then taken by a really hot brunette. There's a woman's name on there, right? MK.
Hmm.
So she took the paper, and before the ink was dry, half of the people that signed it were already scamming on how to revert everything that was on there. And we
Hmm.
see the labors of those fruits right, being eaten today with the riots, with the division, with all of this. And today on my show, I played a clip from Eisenhower, which, by the way, YouTube, because I stream to YouTube, struck that as some song. And I was like, so fair use. And that was the former President Eisenhower talking, not whatever song you said,
Right.
which was so bizarre. And they also knocked me on hearing Trump's voice saying it was Neil Diamond. I was like, what the, you know, please review.
Oh.
Anyway, during that clip, which was 63 years old, the same thing was going on, where
Right.
certain areas of the nation did not want to abide by federal mandates. And he had to use the iron fist. Nobody liked Eisenhower. But Eisenhower played the game, but created a certain intelligence group that even until today isn't known about so much.
Okay.
And that kind of stays all in the family. These people that, had access to quantum computing from back in the day. Because,
Mm-hmm.
when I tell people the technology we have uh front facing, right, is 50, at least 50, 60 years behind what we actually have.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
I think you're being nice on that estimate from what I've heard, but that's okay.
well, I'm just saying the stuff that Eisenhower had,
Yeah.
we don't even have yet. So he did a really good job in setting up. Uh, I actually did a show the day before yesterday, or was it yesterday? Shoot. Look at that. My memory's so bad lately.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm working on so many things where I actually showed them there's declassified documents showing that the government shows you what the perceived thing is, right? And
Mm-hmm.
what the actual thing is.
Mm-hmm.
And that isn't even half the story. So even the actual that's been declassified isn't really the actual. So, I just wanted to say like history repeats itself all the time because these bloodlines have been able to maintain power so many times over again that they stick to their plan. So you always have to trust the plan. Their plan is a plan that they never veer off of.
Mm-hmm.
Trust it because they never veer off. Corrupt people are creatures of comfort.
Yep.
You know, when they go out and they do things that's something novel, look at the crap they did with George Floyd. They look like idiots. That wasn't in the plan.
Yeah.
It wasn't in the plan to make a bill for George. It was, but it wasn't in the plan to give him a flag and parade it around and give him like 100 funerals. So they messed that up. It looked crazy. It wasn't in the plan to paint BLM on streets and even, and hold rallies with no black people, screaming Black Lives Matter. Like, what the heck is going on here?
Mm-hmm.
So, they do not know how to adapt because they have a plan. So when you have a goal, you don't adapt to get to the goal. You have a plan because you knew. So, again, Eisenhower foresaw this. And, the agency, that was created was, man, I'm just saying,
Mm-hmm.
you know, he's pretty awesome. That's why I like to invoke him every now and then. Uh, he played the game and put in the stops. He put in, I guess he put fail safes, you know, that had to wait for the right time because there's always a right time to respond. So, but you see the Democrats, they're panicking now. They don't know what to do. Their plan's not working. But speaking of plan, I wanted to tell you. So, accessing a certain system that I access, I came across a document of the GSA paying a company, okay,
Uh-huh.
in 2019, September 2019. Now, what shocked me is that this document that was signed, and I tweeted it out, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, whoever put their signature on there, oh my gosh!" So it came out of Scott Peters's office, the Scott Peters, Congressional District 52 of California, San Diego, right? Um,
Okay.
he had gone with Pelosi and a bunch of Democrats to some UN climate change thing. Anyway, an order was put through DHS through his office, and it was for medical simulation.
Okay.
So the concern that I have is that the types of scenarios they picked One was to mimic Arizona. The other one was to mimic Chicago. And then they had 3 fish bowls ordered. Fishbowl is kind of like, I'm watching you. It can be applied anywhere kind of thing, like a pop-up tent. So
Mm-hmm.
the question is, now this company has been hired to fabricate these things. Guess what? Since 2011, creating, simulation broken legs, heads, blown.
Oh, you're kidding.
Nope, I got all the documents. So
Really?
yeah, and I have the GSA order. So the concern that I have is, so I was talking, if people aren't following Haley Kennington, she says Kennington Says on Twitter.
Uh-huh.
Me and her talk about everything, right? So I was saying, she was like, but how did they use now? And I was like, dude, maybe this was like their backup if Trump was actually impeached, to like round people up. But they had like fabricated scenarios made to match the city of Chicago so they can train, and match Arizona. So I'm thinking suburbia, right? So they can train, and then 3 fish bowls that are like pop-up tents or whatever, they're applied anywhere. Like you can, kind of like you see the simulation in like a non-backdrop area. Kind of like when we train sometimes, when we want to go into, when we have an operation, we'll have, these people create it, right? Recreate the environment. So then, this is how we train soldiers and stuff, right?
Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Let me
Mhm.
read to you a part that really freaked me out. Okay. So this company is from a production company, one of the largest independent television and movie studios in the country. And ever since 2002, they have been training and supporting hundreds of thousands of military, law enforcement, and first responder personnel using hyper realistic scenario environments.
So, fake casualties?
Fake casualties, training them on casualties. They even had, get this. So I saw this George Floyd thing floating around, this dummy
Mhm.
that someone had. Okay, I kid you not. It was on their product page, but it was that you wear it on top of you so people can simulate like doing surgery on you, and you bleed, and it has like organs and stuff, and it's like a suit that you wear. It's kind of like a vest of a chest on top of your chest that you wear so people can actually do surgery.
Right.
I'm just like, what? So
Mhm.
we have fake dead people, fake broken, like that stuff looks so real. Remember, this is a TV and movie production company. Now, I just wanted to hold on, let me find it. 'Cause like I said, I have a million windows open. Let me just see which one it is. It's this one. Okay. Let's see. So let me tell you about these people for a second. So one of them, let's see, did movies like Renegade, Wings of Gold, Invisible Man, 18 Wheels of Justice, Veronica Mars, did all these movies, right? Another one was worked he was a soldier. Let's see, another guy, oh, San Diego, which is so weird. Another guy, this guy, he worked for L3 Communications and General Electric, so Soros owned companies, right? Done. um and he's a manager, but he's like the chief finance officer when it comes to all of these things. Hold on. Next guy, US Navy nuclear machinist, right? He retired from the Navy, started work in defense acquisition, right? Okay, medical products and services, right? So this one guy is in charge of medical products and services for strategic operations. Navy vet, reconnaissance corpsman with the Marine Corps, Navy senior enlisted, command master chief for the 1st Marine Division, deployed to combat zones, the whole 9 yards. Director of Canadian operations. I get this. They work for the US government. They have contracts with the US government, which, by the way, even the GSA, when they put it out, they had stuff redacted on the document, like where they were setting up and for what operation they were doing it. Now, what I got it back to was Army combatant. It was coming under that flag, right? Which was super bizarre.
Mhm.
It wasn't for Army combatant. So it was so weird as to how they formulated this contract with them, because I've done my own share of putting out RFIs and RFPs and even responding to some as a contractor. So
Uh-huh.
this is really bizarre. So just so you know, they valued the effort at almost $1 million. It was 900 and somewhat $1,000. Training model number one is Chicago style replica. Training model number two is Arizona style replica. Gosh, what does that mean? So, what were they planning? And this was done through limited sources justification. So, this was a wham bam, thank you, ma'am. We got to get this paid because it's orders of BPAs exceeding the simplified acquisition threshold. So apparently they put it out and 11 companies came back. But I'm looking at this and it's so sanitized. Like it says, oh, schedule holders for additional training buildings, interior, exterior outfitting in the first quarter of the fiscal year of 20. OFTP plans to expand the redacted to include up to redacted and add additional US city layouts and design. So something was being planned with fabrications mimicking our cities. And it said ICE will post this notice within 14 days of placing the delivery order. So it was done through ICE.
Hmm.
So the question is, what medical emergencies do they foresee that they had to or will have to employ through ICE that requires fake dead people, fake blood, fake surgeries, fake mock-ups of saving people that are dying, and this was done just now, this paperwork. This
Okay,
is
so
2019 September.
okay, but you said earlier this goes back to 2011?
So the first initial contract that they did with this company was 2011, and so far from tax dollars, they've gotten $3.8 million collectively.
Because I wonder, what do you know about the Las Vegas shooting?
Well, I'm going to take it back that San Bernardino was actually done by this company.
Well, I'm wondering if Las Vegas was too.
Well, Las Vegas was different. I
Oh,
I have to sombrero you on that.
oh,
I have to sombrero you on that. But San Bernardino, the person was literally a dummy. Like literally a dummy. You could see it. Like from the footage. And it's like I don't care. Like I didn't even need to use fancy, software, and different stuff. It was like literally a dummy, like a dummy. You could see it. And I'm like, they're showing it from the helicopter. This is why they stopped the footage, right? From helicopters. Because it was a dummy on the floor. You could see it. The shoulders were square and the head was not even there for the one person. So San Bernardino for sure, like false flag operation, because it always happens in these training sessions that real people get
well,
shot. And it's
yeah.
real. They all know it's a training session, but suddenly it's not a training session anymore. And it's like, how many times do they have to do this for you to understand that it is a training session? They just want you to think it's real.
And so you're not going to say anything about Las Vegas, huh? You won't
Not
even
yet. Not
tease
yet.
us?
No, not at all. I have to be very careful on that one.
Hmm. Okay. Because I did a deep dive with some other people on that one.
Yeah, well, I was really close with Laura when she was on that. Remember, she had them change their timeline during the conference,
Yeah.
live. So I got to keep it, quiet on that one for now because that's going to be surfacing back up.
Promise?
Oh no, it will. It will be coming back into the surface like November time. You
Okay.
when everyone remembers it happened after the elections.
Okay. That's good. Because that's like, in my mind, that's unfinished business.
Yeah, but we got to wait for the next term to get it finished. That's what sucks. I mean, this year is the most insane year ever. They've deployed everything
Yep.
they in
Yep.
their army.
Yeah.
Everything.
I've got to believe they're out of bullets at this point. That gun's got to be empty or close to it.
These aren't even bullets. These are like they're throwing poop to the wall and hoping it's like, first we had murder locust and they decided, well, no, we got to scrap that one. And then they're just like coronavirus. You're then not saying that it's not a real thing, but it's highly specific. So it's like, they're milking it. So
Mm,
now it's like, oh, if you're sick, you still have to wear a mask. Just don't put it over your mouth and your nose. And it's like, so then why am I wearing a mask? We have the Dust Bowl, right? We've got this crazy weather. Dams are breaking out. Everyone's on flood watch. It's like biblical or what? I mean, back in the day when they didn't have new high rises, cars, and boats, this would be, biblical.
yeah.
This would be biblical. So, this is kind of, I mean, they're just throwing anything. They'll try anything. They're spraying as well. I mean, they don't know what to do. They're just like, you know, now we're gonna see what Pelosi's pushing. Oh, we're like fixing this new bill, and it's like, oh man, more garbage.
The crypt keeper. So how much longer are we going to have to put up with this COVID nonsense?
Well, 2.0 is coming out now. I mean, Oxford just came out with some studies saying that people that were affected with coronavirus, or is it a new one? Nobody knows. Now have brain damage, so they're retarded. And it's like, all right,
Uh,
so now we're going to have to be worried about having retardation from something that is airborne but isn't airborne, that kids can't get but they might get. It's like, make up your mind, man. Do they get it or do they not? Is it racist and it goes to black people or not? Like, they're constantly changing the story. So, this is where we're at right now. We're going through the motions, and yes, people that have gotten whatever this is or whatever version they have, because they're literally importing people from Mexico with
yeah.
God knows what into Texas and California to cause chaos. Newsom just released criminals. I mean, I feel sorry for everyone living in California right now. Like, hide your kids or
Yeah.
move. Move. Uh,
Right.
there's states that you just move. It's way cheaper too. I'll tell you that. Way cheaper than the other states. You're gonna be like, gas for $2. What's up? Cigarettes for less than $10. Gimme. A shot at the bar for $3, not 10. You know, uh, come out. Come to the real America. Stay away from there. Let that be. That dystopian future stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah, that place is just beyond ridiculous. I lived out there for 11 years and got out 20 years ago, and I know it. I mean, man, I'll tell you, it's a beautiful state, it's a beautiful place, it's beautiful weather, but it's got a bunch of idiots running it, and they're running it into the ground. They're destroying it, really. And you're right about the cost of living. I mean, it's so unbelievable. It's just night and day, or even worse. So people, yeah, and that people are leaving, aren't they? I mean, I'm hearing that people are leaving the cities now. New York City, isn't that the same way? I mean, that place is crazy.
Oh my
It,
god. That's my hometown, man. My
it,
sister's she lives, downtown. I mean, it's just it's so horrible because the cities is coming into fruition. I mean, I warned about it online under another name and posing as a man back in 2000. Yeah, I did. I mean, come on, we were at the time where women were wearing shoulder pads, right? Early 2000s, right? And, 90s where they were empowered and getting out of aerobics and stuff. So, when I went online, I used a couple people, and, I had really, I'll tell you what, the only person that knows like the whole spiel of it was Art Bell. I felt really bad because I wanted to connect with him again. Because the last time he saw me was, let's say, like 2008 in California.
hmm
So we met up there. And so I was going to see him again. Actually, I did that Xbox, where we talk through the
Oh
Xbox.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And, I was supposed to be flying out to meet him, and he called me fat. He was like, "What happened to you?" And I was like, "Seriously?" Like, I like turned it off. So I really feel bad that I didn't see him again because we were thinking of actually bringing that back up. But,
hmm
you know, he he passed away.
Yeah.
But I did warn people, in 2000 and 2001 how the future was bleak, how it was different, how it was the country and the cities. And this is exactly what they want. I mean, you heard Biden, and if you look at his plan and if you actually read it, it's about annihilating the country and that cities are only good and that
Hmm.
you have to stay within the city limits so it'll be great. Uh, if people read it, it's hundreds of pages long. And it's like, I'm just like, what the? So how is this ecological if you just turn every single piece of ground into concrete and people live in apartments? Like,
Well, it sounds, is this a variation of Agenda 21?
well, so the future back then as the reality was panning out before 9/11, 9/11 shifted it
Hmm.
and pushed it back. There was a civil war coming in 2002, 2003. And that would have been on the heels of a very bad, uh, you know, depression, market crashes. The stuff that happened in 2000 were ridiculous. Um, Things were falling. So what's happening is what was happening then, excuse me, was that this was all going to pan out, the depression, and then people would take arms. There would be a great civil war. And in the end, the cities would remain and everyone else, was considered the country.
Hmm.
So across the world, people were segregated in as cities and country. So, the country though was harmed because the cities were able to arm themselves to disable us from having technology. So we had to build back up technology. So, we would look to the past to rebuild because there's only so much you can do when you're dependent on technology and they've eradicated it. And you don't have the availability, kind of like picture like an EMP that everyone says. So that was the future. 9/11 delayed that. It postponed it because what was realized is that the cities were quite small and they didn't have the power. The people weren't ready for it. They needed to be conditioned more. So a new 16-year plan was played out. And this was the plan of, Barack Hussein Obama and Hillary Clinton to come after Bush. So this was it. Unfortunately, they didn't take account that us Gen Xers are pretty vicious, man. 'Cause we grew up when Nintendo was coming out. We grew up when cell phones came out. We're pretty adaptable and we don't miss a beat. We remember stuff. We still got whacked with a ruler and then it was illegal. We were in that transition period. So we're dangerous. Those
Hmm.
in ages of 35 and 55 are the most dangerous right now to their movement, not the elderly. The elderly are old school, right? That's why they killed them off. But we are the most dangerous. So that was the plan. And this is exactly where they're taking it. I mean, his detailed plan describes just that. And I warned about it, almost 20 years ago.
This sounds kind of a little John Titor-ish to me. You know
Some
who that is?
sombrero.
That's number 7. We've had a hell of a night. Okay, I've kept you here for over 2 hours, and I know I'm busy, and I know you're probably busier than I am. So, is there anything else that you would like to talk about or discuss or get out tonight while we're on a roll?
Well, just remember this week is going to be pretty, pretty, pretty interesting.
Okay, exciting, interesting.
Exciting, interesting. We're going to
Uh,
see my old boss come into the picture.
oh, oh, that's going to be good news.
Yeah, I can't wait too. It better happen the way it is. I mean, we got 2 out of 3. Let's go for number 3
Hmm.
because we
Okay,
gotta have all of them to get it.
right.
Like I said, the problem that Durham is having and Huber, everybody keeps forgetting about Huber, right? And
Yeah,
there's other prosecutors. The problem that is present is that it's so widely known that it's hard to not get a tainted jury.
right.
The getting an indictment back in the day at a grand jury is kind of like indicting a ham sandwich. You could get it.
Hmm. Yep.
Not on this level. On this level, it's like on another level that it has to be so ironclad that the facts smack you in the face. And if you were to say, no, I can't return an indictment, uh, you know, you can't even justify it.
Mhm.
It's kind of like saying, look, this is the gun, this is the fingerprint, right?
Yep.
Belongs to this person, and then they come up with stupid questions like, well, did you see them shoot him?
Yeah,
Um,
did you get it on tape?
right.
Yep.
So it has to be, this is why even the Maxwell indictment is so, whitewashed, right? It's like,
Mhm.
What? It should be a list because when someone gets arrested, like for something like breaking into a store, right? They have an indictment list that's like 20 feet long.
Right.
You used a hanger for a weapon, your boot was a weapon. They just and these people have the most, stupidest, indictments, right? So like
Mhm.
I said, 2 out of 3, we need 3 and that's it, And so this is where the hurdles are. And so as people are pushing, "Oh, bring." What do you mean findings? This is going to be indictments, not findings. They're
Right.
going to be like, I just rated them. So hopefully there's no delay because even other indictments that have been returned partially, they're constantly in discussion. Like, can we put this? Can we put that? Oh, we have more questions. That's the way grand juries go. They constantly come back with questions.
Mhm.
You have to go dig. And then it's on hold. And they're like, yeah, bring me stuff. That's how they go. So you can't just like whoop out an indictment, and pull it out your behind and say, just trust us. It's not like the Obama FISA court where they go to the judge that knew that they were illegally wiretapping and collecting information. With that information, she had just spanked them with and said, give us a FISA warrant. People are awake now and they're seeing it. And, we just have to, if they're going through pain, we're going to go through pain too. I mean, if a demon's screeching, your ears are going to hurt, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that grand jury process is, people think about a grand jury, they just sit there and watch and listen and then decide, and it's not like that. They're very interactive with the process, unlike a petit jury who sits and, watches the prosecution put their case on, then the defense, and then they make a determination.
No, the
So
grand jury, yeah, they ask for details.
yeah, they're very interactive with the process.
Yeah.
It's very different from a petit jury, like I say, who what we see from the O.J. Simpson trial or whatever you watch. They're pretty passive. They sit there and they watch, and then they come up with a determination. But yeah, the grand juries are very very interactive. So
Yeah, and don't
well,
forget, you're not there. It's just the grand jury and the prosecutors.
right,
So
right,
the grand jury, if they're going to give a blind, secret subpoena or anything, because that's how subpoenas happen too, right? The
yep,
grand jury's like, well, I want to see this. And they're like, well, I need a subpoena. Here you go. Grand jury says, give them a subpoena. I
mm,
need to satisfy this before I can see if that question is satisfied. See, if people actually knew the process of a grand jury, they wouldn't be complaining. Why isn't anything done? It's not that easy
right,
because you've got a panel of people and each person has their own question. This can roll over for like forever. This is why we have so many sealed indictments because they're constantly ongoing. And then if they find, say, for example, you're investigating, Schmo, and they're like, well, I want to make sure that he trafficked children. Can you get me this? And then you go digging, and you're like, oh, damn, now I found another Schmo connected to this Schmo. So I got to get this Schmo. So then I go to that grand jury because once I get the stuff from that Schmo and that indictment, then I could get an indictment on Schmo number one. This is the way it works. And it's so difficult. But that's what's beautiful about our justice that everyone is afforded, good justice during a grand jury. They could sit there and say, look at all our paperwork. And the grand jury says, nah, man, there was no intent. Like,
yeah,
a woman walking through a supermarket eating an orange, and they're like, we want to indict her for for theft of the orange. They're like, dude, she was casually walking, she forgot. Like, we're not going to indict a person for that. They think about these things. So it's good that if people actually knew the process, they would appreciate how long it is, and especially when we're talking about former CIA director, former DNI, former FBI,
FBI, yep,
and
yep.
that's another one. Why the heck is Evanina sitting right by Ratcliffe? do not know what the heck's going on with that one. But
Uh,
I'll leave it at that.
well, and also the grand jury, you have to have a grand jury for federal felonies anyway, and that's what a lot of people don't understand either. You have to have a grand jury for a federal felony. The Supreme Court decided that in a case. So according to the Constitution, so that's a very high bar, and so everybody just needs to be patient. It's coming, and of course, that's one of the things that the coronavirus, COVID, did is delayed that process too. That was one of the reasons that it's been delayed was because of that. So now, all right, one more question. Do you know who's going to replace Barr?
That was a sombrero moment. And for those that are asking what the sombrero is, that's our safe word.
You should.
Here's the thing. I can't, not because I don't want to say, and I kind of sometimes throw it around in conversation so it doesn't like it's not deliberate, but I don't want to reveal source.
Yeah, I understand.
When I access certain systems, yeah, I was expressing that to you earlier too. I have to use burner phones.
Hmm.
And it drives me, you have no idea how much money I spend on burner phones.
Yeah.
If I hurry up and get something and I know, that phone's compromised, if I don't finish all my work and I destroy the phone, I have to go buy another one.
Right.
It kicks me in the tush. Like I have spent an insane amount just in the past 2 weeks just buying burner phones. And I don't know, maybe it's because I have my fingers in too many pies right now, but I'm always forgetting. And I always can't go to the same store. I mean, at some point they're gonna be like, "Damn, girl."
Well, they got cameras too.
Well, yeah, well, no, I'm careful. But,
Okay.
it's like, where you get burner phones, come on. But, the thing is yeah, they have cameras everywhere though, if they really wanna look. But the thing is, it's so frustrating. So, rather than reveal source because, lately, I've been seeing a big crackdown on, independent journalists.
Hmm. Yeah.
And, I've noticed it from people getting banned, from people not being able to do anything. So,
Yeah.
you know, so I have to be careful on that one. I've hinted it. I'm gonna leave it at that. But I sometimes,
I know people get frustrated with me, and I spent last weekend with one a guy in our network, and he gave me all kinds of information because you can't talk about it over the phone because obviously comms are compromised, and so when you meet, you get a lot of information, but I can't give it out. I mean, I just can't talk about it, so it frustrates everybody, and that's the way it goes. And I understand. I understand.
well, look, I tell my listeners everything. But, I tell everyone who I am. I don't but without being direct.
Yeah.
Because we've been spoon-fed so long, we've lost the ability to listen. We're only
I,
hearing things.
right.
That's the problem. We're hearing things and not listening. We should be listening more because if we listen more, then we wouldn't be in this situation we are. But in the age of consumerism, because that's what it is, the mainstream media looks at you as a consumer.
Yeah.
The Democrats see you as you're the currency, man.
Right.
When they're like, "Oh, you're gonna get this free stuff." If anything is free, you are the currency. Period. That is, the rule. But anyway, yeah. So we're waiting next week. Some really good stuff is going to be coming out. The Roger Stone thing popped Friday, like I said it would. Obviously, I thought, because I didn't see him say anything or, show that it was coming for Friday. I was like, oh, he's going to do it at the rally. But then the rally was canceled. I was like, oh, he's going to do it now
Hmm.
because we needed it over the weekend. And for those of you complaining about DACA, right? Because he came out with that DACA thing at the same time, I was kind of like, calm down, guys. He needs to throw a bone. And when he's referring to DACA, he's referring to those that are still under the age of 18, that are first generation, belonging to non-criminal parents. So, this is like the trade-off so the media can't, be so vicious. Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
do that. He's a good person.
Yep.
Well, none of us in the United States, no American can truly say, well, you little kid, your parent broke the law and brought you here. Yeah, and your parent will be penalized with it, probably never allowed to have citizenship. And when you grow up, they need to go back. But the kid will be able to stay. You know what I mean? If it's not extenuating circumstances, you shouldn't have broken the law. Illegal is illegal. You broke the law and came here, period.
Yeah.
So, we have a compassionate president, a strong president, and he's being targeted. So, I mean, if anything, we should just all pray and, keep in mind that everything's going to get easier after the 20th, even though it's going to get crazier, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It can get real crazy, man.
Well, it's the process we have to go through to get to the other side. Everybody has to understand that.
Yeah. Are you going down to the RNC?
Doubt it. I doubt it. I
Oh,
would love to, but I hear they're gonna move it. I heard they're talking about moving that outside.
well, I don't know. Well, we have Radio Row. So Red State Talk Radio is going to be like there for like 24/7 coverage.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, so I'm definitely going there. I'll do my show live from there. I fly out Monday night, so I'll do my show and then fly out, and I'll be there all week. And so it'll be interesting. More so for me, it's just to kind of talk to people that I don't really
Right.
talk to. I don't know, maybe Ronna McDaniel might even ban me for writing that article about her. Um
Oh.
Like, oh my god, like, she handed the keys to the RNC. This is why we moved the venue, by the way, right? You know that, right?
Yeah.
Everything else
Yeah.
is covered, you know that, right? Because I know we're all like, "Oh, you didn't want the RNC, you loser," and it's like, "No, that's not why." So, you know, Ronna needs to go. I mean, the whole GOP needs to be gutted, all of them, slapped, the whole 9 yards.
I hope that and it'll happen soon, right? I mean, it'll happen soon.
Man, I hope so. I mean, where I'm at, the GOP here is so lame. They don't even respond to emails, and they're like, "Pay here so you could do this." It's like, I'm not paying you anything because you don't even
Yeah.
show up or send emails or do anything. Like, anyway, so everybody needs to pray. Everything's gonna get a lot better after this week. Um,
Yeah.
it's gonna get way better after this week. So it'll be fun to watch. And for those that listen to real news can see it. Those people out there throwing negative juju, who knows? They could be employed by General Jones.
Oh. Okay. All right. We've earned 8 sombreros tonight, so I think I think we've done pretty well in that regard. I feel good. Um, I thank you very much. You are a rock star for Red State Talk Radio. You have a website which we're putting up on our screen. Tore Says a lot of good articles. I go to that. I go to your website and I start reading, and I just get lost in all the stuff that you have. So,
You
uh,
should see some of my old stuff on Big League Politics before they changed. So,
oh, it's not up anymore,
oh no, it's
or do
still there. It's still there.
is it still there?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's still there. I wrote the stuff on Crossfire Hurricane that's going to come out. You'll see that I even put the IP address of where we were exchanging information, like right there, and no one was paying attention. This is like 2.5 years ago. So, yeah, I've got stuff on there. I write on Loomered. So yeah, you can find a lot of my stuff everywhere. I used to have HuffPo and Breitbart, but
Right.
everything changes. So
Yeah. Okay. So everybody listen to Tori. Her show is from noon to 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday on Red State Talk Radio. Tune in. I do as much as I can and get all kinds of good news and good information. So I think everybody should do that. Do you want to tell everybody goodbye and we'll sign off?
yes, good night, everyone. God bless. Pray. And remember, no pain, no gain, right? So just pray for those that do not see, as long as our eyes are open. So, Paladin, thank you so much for having me on. It was a pleasure tons of fun this Friday night. You should be on too.
Yeah, what else we got to do on a Friday night, right? But besides talk about this stuff.
Are
I
you
think
sure my age? Come on, man. Seriously, I'm supposed to be like.
no, it's good because this is the time that we need to be doing this. And I know we'd both rather be doing other things, but I think this is good that we're able to do this because the word needs to get out. And a lot of people are waking up and they're looking for people who can give them information. They're looking, and that's a good thing. And we need to be there for them. So, and I think you,
No, this is speak for yourself. There's nothing better that I would like to do than talk politics. I'm Greek. Politics is in my DNA.
okay.
So, God bless.
Okay.
Thank
Yep.
you. Have a
And
wonderful evening.
okay, and you too, Tori. Thank you for coming on our show, and we'll definitely have you back sometime soon.
Thank you for having me. God bless.
Okay.
Bye.
And good night, everybody, and have a great weekend. And we'll see you sometime next week. I'm sure we'll do another podcast. And so have a good, safe weekend, and we'll see you later. Paladin out.